They live in the dark shadows of society, living on the streets, eating out of dumpsters, and begging for change. Some people call them crazies, lazy bums, or drunks and drug addicts. In reality, they are people with mental and physical disabilities, real people with real problems. Schizophrenia, bipolar, severe personality disorder, and chronic pain syndrome, just to name a few. And without the proper medication or counseling, some of these people turn to illegal drugs and alcohol to escape their problems, or panhandling and crime to survive. The numbers of homeless people are staggering. On a given point in time in January of 2007, a study released by several social and economic agencies in Arizona counted over 14,000 homeless people in our state.
And that's a conservative estimate. Some experts think that the actual number could be 2 to 3 times higher because of the difficulty of counting people who are outside the shelters and gathered in outdoor gathering places like this park. Hi, I'm Marty. My 40-year-old daughter could have been one of those statistics. But thanks to the help of people like advocates for the disabled, she was able to get the compassionate and professional help she needed, and today she's able to live a positive and independent life. Advocates for the Disabled is a voice for those who are unable to work or care for themselves. Advocates for the Disabled provides guidance for those who need financial help, housing, and hope, and they serve both low-income indigent people and homeless people. You're about to hear the stories of 3 special people, each with their own personal living hell.
George is a diagnosed schizophrenic. Ellis is an epileptic with neurological disorders, and Manuel is a recovering drug addict and alcoholic. All 3 represent a small example of the type of people living on the streets who need your support. You'll also hear from the social experts that are on the front lines, trying to educate the public and direct those in need to a healthier life.
Here's a glimpse into the lives of some of the mentally disabled you can help.
George is moving again. He's been on the move for almost 45 years, working odd jobs, living day to day, and usually ending up homeless. Family support was virtually non-existent after he was discharged from the Army.
I was diagnosed as paranoid schizophrenic while I was in the Army in Germany in 1964. Now, this surfaced at that time because in '63, my mother committed suicide, and I lost her. And I still am angry at her. I'm still angry with her. I can't accept what she's done. However, on 4 or 5 different occasions, I've tried it. One attempt broke my neck. I really tried it. And all I seem to do is mess things up. But every 4 or 5 years, I would reach a point where the frustrations would build to a point where I had no escape valve. You know, I just took off and went to a different place and started over. 99% of the time in starting over, it was being homeless and building myself up from that. I always had the opportunity to go to a trucking company and go to work. I had no problem. So when I was ready, I went to work. About 5 years ago now, I had some subsidized housing and was on medication. I got off the medication and I took off. I just left everything, a house full of furniture, food in the refrigerator. I locked the door and walked off. When I realized what I was doing, I was in Florida.
George eventually went full circle and came back to Phoenix, this time with a fresh start and some help from his friends at Advocates for the Disabled. Diane, a professional case manager, took on George's case.
Now, advocates has become my escape valve, especially because of Diane, especially. She explains to me what the pitfalls are, and because of her and and advocates, I just don't, I don't lock the door and walk off anymore. I stay on my medication, which is something it's necessary, I need. She is the person who is in between me and the psychiatrist. She is the person that really helps me control my frustrations.
Thanks to Advocates for the Disabled, George and his cat are not using any more of their 9 lives and are happily staying put in their new home.
They're not just a manager, they are a friend and a manager. And people like me need friends, real friends. He's my buddy.
Imagine feeling nauseous and confused. Imagine having uncontrollable seizures at any time. Welcome to Ellis's world. He was diagnosed with epilepsy in 1984 and still struggles today.
I've been confused for a little while.
Epilepsy is a neurological disease that disrupts electrical waves in the brain, causing unpredictable mood swings and seizures. The only thing worse than the disease itself is the lack of education people have about it.
When people see me having a seizure or trouble or something, it seems like they just don't want to get involved, you know what I mean? They just like kind of look the other way, you know what I mean?
Ellis tried different types of medications over the years to control his seizures, but would usually feel sick. An electronic device was installed to regulate his body, but it only works part of the time.
I have this simulator in my chest, you know, but it's helped a little bit, but it don't seem like it helped that much, you know, because I have such bad reactions, you know, from the medicine too. Like they put it in me, and it still just kicks on and kicks on off. You know, it's very uncomfortable, but I just have to live with it, you know. And it's been off and on hard, you know, getting a job too. I've been working, but then I get hurt at work too, and like I said, I have to ride the bus. See, it kicks on. I have to ride the bus, but sometimes I have to use on the bus, and then I don't know where I'm at, you know. If this didn't exist, it would be hard for me, you know, to get around or to have a telephone or, you know, or to seek counseling or something, you know, like they help me out with, you know, what I need to do and what I need to say, you know. They've been a good help to me, and, you know, I see too many people that come here, you know, I see they've been a lot of good help for them, you know.
Manuel is finally being noticed for all the right reasons.
Here's me and my story, and my life was falling apart.
Manuel was recognized for turning his life around after months of counseling and personal discipline at a drug and alcohol rehab center. His story was written in a magazine to inspire others struggling with substance abuse. But it wasn't easy. For 8 years, Manuel battled drug and alcohol addiction, a disease that turned him to desperate measures to survive on the streets.
Before, I just didn't care. I didn't care for myself. I didn't care for nobody. I was living on the street for 8 years and drinking and living in shelters and providing my own way, like picking up cans every day and picking up and using that kind of atmosphere. And after the cans were picked up, I go get myself a drink, and then at the end of the evening, I find a place to sleep.